Pom, 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 pom. Hello, my name is Eddie Jennings and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. And it's not just music, but music theory. And I'm going to go over my definition of what music theory is, what does it do for you, and why it's important. Now, there is so much to music theory, I can't put everything into like a 10 or 11 minute video. So I'm just going to hit a few high points and really just talk about why I love it so much. So what music theory is, it's I'm not going to say just the theory of music, because it's not really that. Really, it is a way of codifying what music is, giving labels to things. And through those labels, you can talk about patterns and such. And you can talk about how certain aspects of music affect other aspects of music. And by an aspect of music, I'm talking about tempo or really pitch, duration, which tempo and rhythm, timbre, all that kind of stuff. But when I tell my students, and my younger students in particular, to try to get them interested in music theory, I talk more about what it does for you. And what music theory does is it gives you the vocabulary and a way to describe the things that you think sound cool. And what I mean by that is it's saying, hey, I like how this piece of music sounds, and not being able to say why. That's pretty limiting in how much you can really appreciate and enjoy the music. And so having a knowledge of music theory gives you that knowledge base and vocabulary to describe it. For example, the little riff that I played here, and first of all, let me go ahead and tell you, I'm not a piano player or a keyboardist, nor am I a vocalist. As a music major, we all have to go through our class piano to get some basic keyboard skills, and any music major needs to have some basic singing skills and such. So be kind with that. My skills are in saxophone and percussion, but this little thing, and it's not from a particular piece, or rather, it's from a chorale, and I can't remember what chorale it is, and it's probably not any one specific chorale, but it's something that you hear in a lot of different things. But what this is, I'm going to play two chords for you. We have a G minor chord and a D major chord. As you can tell, I'm not the keyboardist, so I'm having to look and make sure I have my fingers in the right spot. To my ears, that sounds really cool. That minor chord to major chord sound. And it wasn't until I got into undergrad that I learned what that is, what I just played. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what this is. In a minor key, I'm playing tonic and then dominant. Oops. There we go. Dominant in a minor key. I love the sound of that. And being able to talk to other musicians about why I like the sound of that, I can say, hey, this is tonic to dominant in a minor key. That sounds great to me. And then what I can do with this knowledge is, if I'm composing my own music and I would like to write something that I know is going to be appealing to my ears and maybe to another person's ears, I know how to write what tonic and dominant would be in a minor key in a piece of music. So if I'm composing something and I want to have that, I know how to do it. And the study of theory allows me to do that. Another thing I explain to my students is theory is an after-the-fact science. Now, there are probably music theorists out there that know, or probably have forgotten far more than I will ever know about music theory that would argue with me to this point, and that's fine. But just from my perspective, it really is kind of an after-the-fact thing. The great composers throughout time, and I'm talking Western music here, the same concepts I'm sure would apply to any other musical tradition, but the composers existed before we had theorists. And what composers would do is follow their ear. They would write what sounds good to them. And what the theorists did was they realized, hey, these particular composers, people tend to like their music. I mean, music's an entertaining thing. The mark of a good composer is do people actively try to listen to your music? And what theorists did is, all right, so these composers all tend to do the same kind of things. Now, they are not the exact same compositions, obviously, but they found patterns. For example, like in minor keys, we make that dominant chord a major chord. So here's my little G minor chord. Dominant would be D major, rather than D minor, gives you a totally different sound. But what they found were these little patterns. And a lot of folks, and I'm talking common practice period here, this would be the 1600s to 1800s, they would that minor tonic would be followed by major dominant, in their music. And so thus from that was born perhaps a rule of chord progressions to where, hey, when you're in a minor key, you should make that dominant chord major. And that came from the fact that they observed many composers doing that, and we tend to like those sounds. And even though this is really probably an oversimplification of how theory came about, that's basically what happened. It's patterns and such. And the other aspect of theory is when you have this knowledge base about it and you're experiencing a new piece of music, you can recognize some of these patterns and such that you have learned about in the past and see how this new composer or this new piece by a composer, how they're using these patterns and how they sound different and how they might sound nifty to you. There is unfortunately a stigma with music theory and I'm speaking at the college level for this. A lot of people are like, I hate theory. Theory is so boring, all this kind of stuff. And in my opinion, that's really unfortunate because there's a lot of opportunities to really kind of fall in love again with music through the study of theory and through discovering these patterns and through rediscovering pieces of music, like I said earlier, that you've really loved, or particular melodies you've loved, and you get the tools to analyze these and break them down into little parts, and you have this chord progression here and this use of non-harmonic tones there and all that kind of stuff, and go, hey, this thing that I've listened to for forever and ever. An example of this, the Bittersweet Symphony. You've probably heard. Now here's where I'm going to make my mistakes, being not a keyboard player. See if I can figure this out real quick. Yeah, here it is. That little melody. If you're not familiar with Bittersweet Symphony, you should. I'm sure you can on YouTube find recordings of it. Maybe people doing covers of it, or the original recording itself. But this little, really, what we have going on here is a suspension. So let me get my D major chord happening. Oh, I'm sorry. It's an A major chord. Excuse me. That resolves down. And after studying theory, I learned this is this mechanism is a suspension. And so then I realized, so maybe this thing that I've heard in another piece is also a suspension. And having that knowledge of theory, just it opens the world for you. So I encourage you, if you're a musician, or even, this applies to non-musicians, I think it is more relevant to a musician, because being able to to either play back the things that you're reading and hearing about with theory, makes it that much more enjoyable and immersive. But if you're a musician, I encourage you to become knowledgeable of theory. Theory can be boring for you if you want it to be, as far as, oh, I have to learn how to build these chords, and I need to learn about these major scales and minor scales and all that kind of stuff. Or you can let theory be the gateway to, let me discover how this thing sounds, and how do composers use this particular sound with others, and where do I hear this stuff in the pieces of music that I love. That's where you're going to find the usefulness of theory, and hopefully fall in love with it as I did. In the future, I'm going to do far more videos on theory. I'm going to go kind of into some lessons, like a private lesson format. I'll talk about intervals and chords and all that kind of stuff. But before I did, I wanted to have this little introduction video just to show my enthusiasm about theory, and encourage you yourself to do some self-study with it, or take lessons or whatever, because I really think you can get much more out of your music having some theory knowledge behind you, because it gives you tools to enjoy it that much more. So if you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you like this content, or if you're an IT person who's seen some of the IT videos and want to be notified when I do some new videos, click subscribe for the channel. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you the next time.